Michael Saylor has been under siege for the past few weeks, and yesterday we saw yet another attack from JP Morgan directed at MicroStrategy. And the timing of all of this makes me think that the $4 trillion Wall Street giant might have been behind this coordinated attack the entire time. But before I get to all that news, on the exact same morning, Michael Saylor had to deal with one of the most hostile interviews I think you will ever see. It's actually ridiculous. So I really want you to ask yourself, why is MicroStrategy and Michael Saylor in this current moment being attacked? Maybe my tinfoil hat is on right now, guys, but when it all happens at once, it's really hard to avoid the exact scenario playing out. So let me start with this interview, guys. It's actually kind of ridiculous. Apparently, it was supposed to be like an hour-long interview, and Channel 4 from the UK apparently just edited like a 3-minute clip and posted this on their socials. And I think they tried to do I can't say it yet. I think they tried to make Saylor look like unhinged. So let me play this, and then I'll respond to this, and then I'll tell you the JP Morgan news.
That's a very compelling idea.
Immortality is very compelling for everybody.
Spiritual immortality is the basis of religion. Economic immortality is the basis of Bitcoin.
What happened last year? What happened with the price last year?
It goes up and it goes down, but it's irrelevant because the point is it's going up at double to triple the rate of the S&P over the long term because it's economically superior.
People shouldn't panic if it loses 50% of its value. Is that the crypto winter?
No, the right way to think of it is people shouldn't invest in a volatile capital asset. If you want to make a capital investment in anything, real estate, equity, Bitcoin, you should have a time horizon of 4 to 10 years. If you need the money in the next 4 months, you're a credit investor.
But all the risks. Well, I just want to.
If you're going to ask me the question, you got to listen to the answer. The point really is Bitcoin is the world's most secure digital property network. It's 21 million blocks. It's the cyber Manhattan. So all of the people in the world that would like to put their money in a bank in cyberspace, they don't trust the government. They don't trust a company.
But you're a company. You're a company. You represent.
Are you going to keep interrupting me, or are you going to listen to the answer? Even though 10 million companies will come and go, and 10 billion people will come and go in 500 years, and the Bitcoin still holds its economic value.
Well, so, unless quantum destroys that idea.
The entire quantum thesis is maybe someone will invent a better computer.
So before we get to
if you're going to ask me these questions, you cannot interrupt me.
Before we get
right, because it's like I'm not going to do this with you. Like you're being offensive right now to do this. Like it's literally a fantasy. You fantasize like the tooth fairy might actually come out of the clouds in 37 years. With magical wands and wave them at you.
I hope she's not coming after my teeth.
And destroy your house. It's like, okay, yeah, well, maybe the tooth fairy will come and dematerialize my house, but I'm still going to have the house because I don't really think it's that likely.
Is it the proletariat that benefit from Bitcoin's expanse, or is it people who have very big shares? People like you.
Did I not just point out that I have 55 million beneficiaries? It's a technology, and right now it's touching 500 million people, but there's no reason why it shouldn't touch 5 billion people. Okay, we're done.
Yo, all right, first off, I don't think we've ever seen Saylor get that angry and that frustrated in an interview. We've seen the classic Saylor sigh. Maybe the Danny Knowles podcast might have been the biggest freak out we've seen from Saylor up to this point. But now he's talking to the corporate press, and you can tell it wasn't a good interview. So we'll see if we get the entire hour interview. It does seem like it was a longer interview. It also does seem like they edited it down to just make Saylor look maybe a little more unhinged than maybe he was. Personally, I know you guys may be like, Opti, you're being hypocritical here, but I'm Team Saylor on this one, all right? At a certain point, I will put aside all of my trolling and cynicism and stand with the Bitcoiners, all right? Like, we are all Bitcoiners after all. Maybe we don't all agree on what Bitcoin will be. Maybe I am not a MicroStrategy holder, et cetera, et cetera. And yes, as I can hear Ron P in my head right now being like, Opti, you were fighting Sailor last week too. Okay, look, whatever. Caught in 4K. I'll come back now and be like, yes, I'm on Sailor's side here, especially in the context of when the no coiners come after us, when the media comes after us, when we're seeing essentially Wall Street attack Bitcoiners and Bitcoin products. I'm Team Bitcoin, all right? I rally around Team Orange. So, hey, you know, I'm not perfect, all right? I like a little bit of gossip every once in a while. I like a little bit of, you know, fun and trolling of each other. I think it's good constructive criticism. But again, it's not what this show is about. What we saw on the very same day is this headline come out of JP Morgan. I actually first saw this on Watcher Guru, and then I went to go look at what was being said. So originally this came out of Bloomberg, but again, I don't have a Bloomberg account, so I'm using the Yahoo Finance Bloomberg, blurb of it. And the headline is, JP Morgan says Sailor's strategy adds new risk to the Bitcoin market. JP Morgan Chase & Co. warns that Michael Saylor's financing overhaul strategy Inc. has shaken up the dynamics of the Bitcoin market by introducing the risk that one of the cryptocurrency's biggest buyers could also become a seller, adding a new source of uncertainty for investors. Now, we did cover this. Obviously, that was the huge controversy a few weeks ago when we saw Saylor sell about $2.3 million of their Bitcoin. And then he did go on Twitter. You know, let's be objective here. Let's not get in our feels here. He did go on Twitter and basically say, hey, look, or actually it wasn't on Twitter. It was at Bitcoin Prague. He was like, hey, I said you never sell your Bitcoin, not that I would never sell my Bitcoin at Strategy. And all of the Bitcoiners are like, dude, the internet doesn't forget. Here's the clips. You literally said Strategy will never sell Bitcoin. So that whole narrative, again, I do essentially agree with one kind of minor point to this. I don't think there's an existential risk to Bitcoin in general, like JP Morgan is making this out to be. But I do kind of acknowledge that when essentially the biggest buyer of Strategy right now, and there's some numbers in here to really back that point up, becomes a seller of Bitcoin, even though he's a net buyer, it does, I think, maybe persuade a lot of investors that aren't really in the know of what Bitcoin is in the wrong direction. Like, I'll give them that. But do I think it's an existential threat to Bitcoin in general? No. Even if Strategy sold all of their Bitcoin today, do I think that Bitcoin would be dead, that it's over for us? No, we just have a really deep, prolonged bear market, and we get really cheap Bitcoin. The Bitcoin network itself would continue to go on. You know, as we always say, it's not that Bitcoin needs Wall Street or Bitcoin needs Saylor or Bitcoin needs the Bitcoin treasury companies. Like, we need Bitcoin. And that's, I think, the fundamental thing that most people outside of our echo chamber fail to acknowledge. It's like, look, Bitcoin's going to do its thing. Bitcoin got to $1 trillion market cap without any of this stuff. So it's not going to die if these other Bitcoin companies blow up. I mean, look at the past. Mt. Gox, one of the biggest Bitcoin exchanges, blew up and Bitcoin survived. At the time, one of the biggest companies in the space. Then later on, we saw FTX blow up. They did a lot of damage. It really hurt us in terms of price. It still is kind of lingering in terms of narrative, but Bitcoin continues to go on. That is the beauty of Bitcoin. As we've been saying for years in Bitcoin, and maybe it's gotten lost in a lot of our narratives recently because of the Bitcoin treasury companies, because of the ETFs, because of the institutions and nation states adopting Bitcoin. But for the longest time, we always talked about Bitcoin in the context of it being anti-fragile. In the sense that, look, all the, quote, bad things that happen to Bitcoin just make it stronger. If we did get in a perilous situation, if we did get in a worst case scenario where Strategy did blow up, I don't think it will. But if we did, I think Bitcoin would just be stronger for it. We would get cheaper sats. The Bitcoin that got sold by anyone that freaked out would go into harder hands, and Bitcoin would just continue to go on. Yes, maybe the 4-year cycle would blow up. Yes, maybe we would go into a prolonged bear market. maybe akin to what we saw in gold the last couple of, the couple of years before last year. And that was actually like a 10-year bear market. I'm not saying we'd be in a 10-year bear market. I'm just saying it'd be a prolonged bear market, something that we've never seen before. So I do essentially view this as like, yeah, it would be bad in terms of the price. Obviously, if they had to naked sell, 800 plus coins on the market, like, yeah, that would be brutal, but Bitcoin would continue to chug on. Okay, anyways, continuing on this. Of course, they're hinting at Strategy's latest policy update, essentially saying, look, we can sell some Bitcoin if we want. We will cap it at $1.25 billion, but we will be using our Bitcoin to pay the Stretch the Stretch preferred dividends. Essentially, they're looking at their Bitcoin as cash. Wow, what a revelation. Bitcoin is cash. Oh my God, they're using their Bitcoin as cash. Crazy, crazy revolutionary thought. But here is their big kind of takeaway, I think. Because Strategy is one of the dominant sources of demand in the Bitcoin market, Saylor's recalibration of his initial buy and hold strategy is particularly important. Strategy has bought approximately $8.2 billion of Bitcoin this year, accounting for roughly 70% of the estimated net digital asset flows year to date, according to JP Morgan, while its holdings represent about 4.2% of Bitcoin's total supply. Now, that number is actually crazy. It does essentially back up that one thesis I've been saying. It's like, look, guys, whether you love Saylor or not, whether you're in the Simon Dixon camp of Saylor is a financial industrial complex, machine for Wall Street, or it's a proxy for Wall Street. And I do have some Simon Dixon takes on this as well. Or if you are more on maybe the Pierre Rochard side of this, where it's like a Bitcoin treasury company is a speculative attack on the dollar. Or as one of my good friends, Nolan, always says, it's like to get out of the financial engineering, you will need to do more financial engineering. It just has to be built on Bitcoin. As I've said in the past, and it was more of a gut feeling. It was more an intuitive feeling. It's like Saylor's basically the only one buying Bitcoin right now. He's probably the reason why we haven't gotten to a 70-80% drawdown, is because, again, as JP Morgan analysts are saying, he's bought basically 70% of all the inflows this year, which is actually kind of insane. Okay, so I want to read the last quote here, and it goes, quote, with the company's valuation inextricably linked to the price of Bitcoin, more uncertainty and volatility in crypto markets could have a negative impact on the company's valuation, thus raising the cost of issuing equity and debt to fund additional Bitcoin purchases. The managing, sorry. It goes on to say, essentially, Strategy didn't respond to this. They're talking about their recent play of having $2.25 billion in cash, $1.25 billion cap on Bitcoin. Do I think this is really like an existential threat to Bitcoin? Like I said, no. Obviously, Bitcoin will live on. But what is the most interesting aspect of this is the fact that we are seeing this after we've seen weeks of FUD pile on Strategy and Michael Saylor himself. One, obviously it was the $2.3 million Bitcoin sale from Strategy, which I think it's bad analysis to say it was the cause for the price dump that we saw a few weeks ago, but it was on that day, and I think it did spook the markets a little bit. Then we saw in the previous weeks, multiple weeks at this point, we did see Strategy dilute the MSTR common stock holders, which is a change of what we saw. Obviously, they were making the case, hey, we're thinking in long term, not short term. Then obviously I never said I'll never sell Bitcoin, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We've seen a siege, as I said in the beginning, a huge attack on Saylor. And at the same time, obviously, we saw the Stretch, quote, D-peg, which it's not really a peg, but it dropped to about $70-something, spooked the market even more. And so in the last few weeks, there has been a lot of pain coming out of the Strategy Bitcoin products. And now, to me, it's starting to make a lot of sense. Because we did see at the time when Stretch went to, I believe it was a low of 72, if I'm remembering correctly, we did see a mass amounts of shorts on Stretch and Strategy. And it's like, where is that capital coming from? And what are the incentives to try to blow up Strategy? Really try to martyr Michael Saylor. Now, of course, the Bitcoin Twitter crowd, the people on the Bitcoiners on social media, they're, again, this is like apocalypto, you know, they're just looking for a head to sacrifice so that we can go back up. It's a slay your heroes meme. It's okay, we have a new person that we can pin to with all of our hate and frustration. And I think everyone collectively chose Saylor. But on the back end, we got to remember how the psyops in mainstream media works. It does seem as if Wall Street was trying to destroy Strategy. They piled the shorts on. Maybe, you know, they backed the bad press. Who knows? Maybe they got some bots out there. I don't know. I'm speculating. But why would that be the case? Well, as we know, as I just said a minute ago, Strategy, for all intents and purposes, is a speculative attack on the dollar. It is a speculative attack on Wall Street itself. It is trying to attract a lot of capital away from traditional financial assets and traditional financial products and get it into a Bitcoin vehicle. It is trying to open up Bitcoin into a broader market. And obviously, as we saw recently, or actually this whole entire year, in terms of the Clarity Act, the big banks did not like the Clarity Act. It seems like they're still fighting it. It seems like the whole stablecoin yield scared them. Now they have their own stablecoin. So it does look like a divide and conquer technique here, where, look, we if we can take the head of one of the biggest Bitcoin buyers, the quote Bitcoin prophet, the guy that marketed Bitcoin to corporations, marketed it to Wall Street, marketed it to nation states, then maybe we can cut the head off the snake and everyone will run for the exits and no one wants to hold Bitcoin. For us, it just gives us an even bigger fervor. We're just more fanatic about Bitcoin. If Jamie Dimon wants to destroy Saylor and Saylor becomes a martyr, I would be a Saylor. I would stand up, you know, with my hand and do the Spartacus moment. We are all Saylor here, okay? So it is interesting, all of these dots kind of playing out right now. It is, I think, super, I don't want to say, you know, coincidental. I forget what the quote Nico always says. There are no coincidences, something. Someone will tell me in the chat. But it really does feel like this is the case. At least if you think that Saylor is not, or rather, sorry, Strategy. I always do that. At least if you think that Strategy is not a vehicle for Wall Street to infiltrate the Bitcoin space, at least in the context of you not believing that Strategy might end up becoming part of the US's strategic Bitcoin reserve. If you are more of the idea that Saylor is an individual, you know, he's not compromised, then you're looking at this and you're viewing it in the context of like, yo, he's one of us and the fiat maxis out there are attacking one of us. Let's rally around him. Which, you know, in full transparency, could be a psyop in itself, okay? Hey, we got to look at it at both sides. Maybe JP Morgan and Wall Street is trying to destroy Strategy. That could be one route here. Maybe it is another route here where they're like, yo, all right, let's do some key fob here. Attack Saylor, distract them, and then we take all the Bitcoin anyways. Maybe they want to destroy the confidence of all of us at the peak of a bear market. If Saylor did sell a lot of coins, it would definitely make a lot of people feel uncomfortable if we were in a prolonged bear market, because we do have all of these different models in mind in terms of how Bitcoin works, in particular, the 4-year cycle, in particular, number goes up and to the right constantly. It will always go up. You know, it goes up forever, Laura. So you do have to look at this, and maybe none of this is correct, right? But you do look at headlines like this, and it makes you wonder, why do they want you to see this? And that's what a lot of us miss when we read the headlines. not everything that's put in the news, as we all know now, is quote unquote the truth. A lot of stories are planted for a particular reason. Why would the powers that be want you to see this headline? Maybe they want to shake your conviction in Bitcoin. Maybe they think you don't understand what Bitcoin is. Maybe they think that you 100% believe that if strategy goes down, then Bitcoin's over and it's failed. I don't believe that at all. Again, Bitcoin is anti-fragile. Bitcoin will continue to go on long after all of us are gone, long after every company that got into Bitcoin is gone. Bitcoin is here to stay. And also, the timing of all of this, not just the sequence of events and the sequence of attack on strategy, but the timing of this news dropping, when it's dropping at basically, as of now, the bottom of a bear market. Maybe they thought they could crash the price even more so that they can scoop up more Bitcoin. Because as we know, JP Morgan is not going away. They totally want to come into Bitcoin. They 100% are involved in Bitcoin, whether it's through the BlackRock authorized participant, there JP Morgan's there. Whether it's through Jamie Dimon coming out here like, I love blockchain. We've been in blockchain for years. We know that they are involved in Bitcoin. We know that they aren't going to go away. Publicly, they say one thing. But privately, they are 100% involved in this space and have been involved in this space for a long time. So with all that in mind, you're like, okay, what is the true reason of this attack? And personally, I stand more on the side of Wall Street wants to destroy strategy. That's kind of my view of this, but I do want to bring up essentially Simon Dixon's view on all this. Well, actually, before I do that, let's do G-Money. Strategy is a risk for the legacy financial system. That's what he really meant. That's exactly what Jamie Dimon meant. He said, JP Morgan warns Michael Saylor strategy is a risk for Bitcoin. No, it's a risk for your job, Jamie. We know what's at stake. We know the game being played. Don't give me we must protect the babies here. Like, no, we understand what's going on. Bitcoin is a threat to the legacy financial system. It is a threat to the legacy incumbents. It is the separation of money and state. It is freedom money. Now, why would the biggest bank in the world that has profited off the TradFi system obviously come out here and be like, yeah, actually, be your own bank? It really doesn't make sense. But behind the scenes, what do they do? And they're like, yeah, we're going to make fees off of this. We're going to make money off of this. They're no dummies. Anyways, at the same time, look at where Saylor was yesterday or this week. Was at the Goldman Sachs Digital Asset Conference in London, discussing Bitcoin, digital credit, and the future of capital markets. Extraordinary venue, exceptional audience. It is actually a pretty theater there. That's actually kind of amazing. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, and this is where Simon Dixon comes in. Simon goes, Michael Saylor discussing digital credit with Goldman Sachs makes perfect sense. Digital credit belongs on Wall Street. Bitcoin belongs in self-custody. One finances war, the other lets you opt out. It is your choice. And this is where Simon Dixon has been going on a tirade recently, essentially saying that why would Jamie Dimon want to destroy strategy? Why would Wall Street want to destroy strategy? Why would the financial industrial complex want to destroy strategy? It is actually a proxy for Wall Street. And to his credit, his thesis does make a lot of sense. It does make, to me, a lot of sense in terms of look, yeah, Saylor did come out here, said all the Bitcoin truisms, said all the Bitcoin memes, had some of the best sound bites we've ever heard. And recently, he is kind of backtracking on some of those. And let's be honest, what was I saying yesterday? If it's not Bitcoin, it's a shitcoin. Yeah, maybe it's a Bitcoin exposure product, but it's a stonk. And remember, at least I remember when I first got into Bitcoin, we were calling stocks shitcoins. It's like, why would you buy that shitcoin? Just buy Bitcoin. Anything that's not Bitcoin is a shitcoin. So with the most hardcore Bitcoin maximalist view, You probably think a Bitcoin treasury stock is a shitcoin. Why would I buy your stock ticker when I could just buy the Bitcoin? Why don't I just do what you're doing? Why am I going to give up my keys and my money so that you can manage some Bitcoin and I probably return a little less Bitcoin? Though in practice, Strategy and most Bitcoin treasury companies are like a levered play on Bitcoin, and he's been very transparent about that idea. But there is one quote that I keep mentioning that Saylor said himself that personally is why I'm not a strategy bull. You know, if it did go to $50, I might have to buy some just because, like, hey, I may be ideological, but I'm no dummy. I want to make some money here. I need some gains, all right? But he did say, look, someone asked him if someone were to ask you why they should buy MSTR or Stretch or any of your tickers, what would you say to them? And he basically said is if you believe in Bitcoin and you trust that we will manage our company and our finances to give you a good return, then that's why you buy our stocks. And again, maybe I'm just like a hardcore Bitcoin maxi, Bitcoin Luddite. Maybe there's the Bitcoin memes that I haven't gotten rid of, which is from the white paper. The way that the money moves on the internet works pretty good, but it is based on trusted third parties. I've been saying for a while, look, I like Saylor. I like the memes. I like the sound bites. I like the fact that he's been buying 70% of the Bitcoin price because maybe the price would be lower. I think it is a speculative attack on the fiat system. I am coming around on the idea to get out of the financial engineering that we live in currently. That is the status quo. We will have to do some financial engineering with Bitcoin, and Saylor has been doing that. But it is a trusted third party. Whatever happened to, don't trust but verify. Now we're just like, hey, yo, trust me, bro. So I do have ideological priors that essentially make me not want to buy anything but Bitcoin. I am risk averse. I don't think Saylor or Strategy is going to blow up, but I'm not willing to take that risk. That's just how I view my personal finances. What you do with yours, that's up to you. That's your business. But in the context of all of this, it is very interesting what we're seeing. The past week, we've seen a lot of attacks. Now, is it too much of a stretch to say that maybe it's coming from Jamie Dimon, or rather JP Morgan? It seemed like they were fighting the Clarity Act. And then they did a pivot of, oh, no, actually, we're okay with the Clarity Act. It just needs more safeguards. Literally the next day, it's like 140 companies launched their own stablecoins. It's like, okay, bro, so you are actually trying to destroy the incumbents in Bitcoin so that you can come in and swoop up all the business. I'm like, oh my, like we've seen this happen before. It's not that big of a stretch. I've been calling it for years. What would I call it? Billionaire Bitcoin playbook. You FUD Bitcoin, you acquire Bitcoin on the cheap, and once your bags are packed, once your products are launched, you do the I like Bitcoin, buy my shitcoin. And the price starts ripping. It does look like we are seeing that same playbook just come from Wall Street. As I've been saying, Wall Street wants your Bitcoin. They're not going away. Anything that you see coming out of Wall Street that is negative, I would say are planted stories to essentially shake your conviction and then steal your Bitcoin. The only way that these Wall Street institutions can get Bitcoin is to, one, either scare you out of your Bitcoin position or incentivize you to sell your Bitcoin to them with either shiny products that are more convenient for your life, or my favorite version, a higher price of Bitcoin. It's not that difficult. We are seeing not only a coordinated attack on Saylor, but I think on Bitcoin in general. They have to bore you to death right now, and we are all feeling it. Every single one of us, some of my friends in the chat, my friends that I hang out in person, everyone is bored to death right now, and we all are like, yo, are we ever going to see gains again? Like, how much lower are we going? Are we going to go sideways forever? Like, we are bored, and we've been here for 9-10 years. The sentiment around Bitcoin is the worst it's ever been. And the price is still around 60K. It's like they're doing a pretty damn good job at boring us hardcore Bitcoiners. And maybe we are going to be turned into literally digital gold. And by that, I mean, we're going to have like a 10-year bear market like gold did. And then one day in the future, we're going to get a mega pump. Now, I don't think that's what's going to happen, but it's definitely a possibility. And that would be Max Payne boredom. We are in Max Payne scenario right now. They want to bore you to death so that you doubt your conviction in Bitcoin. So if you are feeling that, one, you're not alone. Two, maybe you need to go back to the basics and understand what Bitcoin is and what we are actually doing here. Yes, I love number go up, but it's really about the freedom go up as well. Though I do have the caveat that I started with my boy Sal. Hey, we all love number go up, and I am here for the revolution, but something has to fund the revolution. I don't want to be a broke revolutionary. We've seen we've seen multiple examples of this in the past. The way this works out and we win is the revolution gets funded by number go up, and we are all wealthy and we are able to do things that fundamentally change the course of history. This is how we win. And I think we are going to win. We just have to withstand the boredom. We have to withstand the pain. We got to withstand the max pain scenarios. But to be honest, where the price is right now, I'm like, maybe we're out of the doldrums. Maybe we actually did bottom. And maybe everyone that's waiting for Q4 for the actual Bitcoin bottom, they might be waiting on the sidelines, and we might be pumping in Q3. All right. Hey, what do I know? All I know is continue stacking, continue taking Bitcoin into cold storage. In this boredom time, maybe you want to back up your Bitcoin wallets. Maybe you want to try some different Bitcoin wallets. Of course, keep stacking, but now might be the time to work on your self-custody, to back up your wallets, make sure you're secure. Anyways, I rambled long enough on this. I do have another clip from CNBC. Bill Miller IV, billionaire investor, comes out. He's basically saying it's best time to buy some Bitcoin again. And then I do have some updated ETF news, guys. The boomers are getting bored right now. They're chasing all the shining objects, and we've seen incredible outflows from the ETF. So maybe the capitulation isn't just going to come from the Bitcoin treasury companies and the plebs and the miners. Maybe we are watching the capitulation moment happen for the ETF, and this is what we need to really stamp the bottom. And then for everyone here, you've asked for it, and ye shall receive. We are going to do a meme review, so you better stick around for the entire show, okay? If you guys leave during the meme review, this is the last time I'm going to do it. All right, anyways, guys, first commercial break. I'll be right back. Here's the part that nobody says out loud. Buying Bitcoin on an exchange and leaving it there isn't buying Bitcoin. It's buying an IOU. And the last decade has been a masterclass in what happens when those exchanges don't deliver on their promises.
Bitcoin Well is a self-custody Bitcoin platform. That means that when you buy Bitcoin, it goes straight to your self-custody Bitcoin wallet. You actually own it from the very first transaction. They're available both in the United States and Canada. Pricing is transparent, straightforward, and no nonsense. And if you're buying a larger amount of Bitcoin, Bitcoin Well Infinite gives you concierge-level support through a dedicated executive Bitcoin advisor, premium help for when it actually matters.
You can also stack a little extra through the referral and wishing well rewards. A nice bonus on top of the owning your own Bitcoin thing. So go to bitcoinwell.com/simply and sign up for the Bitcoin Well portal today and buy Bitcoin you actually own. Paper burns, paper floods, paper fades. If your seed phrase is written on paper, it's not really backed up. It's waiting to disappear. Stampseed's DIY kit lets you hammer your seed words directly into commercial grade titanium. Fireproof, crush-proof, waterproof, and permanent. Once your words are in the metal, they aren't going anywhere. Use code SIMPLY at stampseed.com for 15% off anything in the store. That's stampseed.com, code SIMPLY. Oh my God, guys. It's like 7 million degrees in here. It is so hot in here. I'm dying. Holy, I don't know what's going on with the AC, so forgive me. It is so hot right now. And it's like 90% humidity, dude. It's brutal right now. Summertime in Miami is brutal. I don't think I'll ever get used to it. Anyways, you guys don't care about how I'm feeling. The current Bitcoin price is $62,180, which is a 50.7% discount from all-time high. We have reclaimed the $1.25 trillion market cap. Actually, let me refresh this. Okay, 62,250 is the current price. Reclaimed the $1.25 trillion market cap, and the block height is 956,525. Okay, so look, we are seeing, I think, some interesting things happen right now. There is a lot of FUD. There is a lot of Bitcoin is dead, Bitcoin is over chanting going on. Even Bitcoiners themselves are saying, like, the bottom hasn't come in. Well, you got to wait till Q4. But I think fundamentally, no one anymore really believes that Bitcoin is like going to go to zero. We just don't know where the bottom is going to be. But what we all can kind of agree on is that we are probably closer to the end of this bear market than being in the middle of it. We are probably closer to the bottom price now than we've ever been. Could it be 57 or whatever it was the other day, aka rounding up to around 60? Potentially. Could we drop to maybe the low 50s? Who knows? Potentially. Could it hit, the fabled high 40s? I mean, look, we can all dream, right? But anyways, right now is probably the best time to be buying Bitcoin. But further, there has been a lot of conversations around whether the Bitcoin thesis is wrong. Like, how come Bitcoin didn't do so well during 2025 when it was, quote unquote, the inflation hedge? Why isn't Bitcoin pumping right now when M2 money supply is going crazy? Why is everyone ignoring Bitcoin for AI hype, tech stocks? Does that mean that fundamentally the Bitcoin thesis is broken? Personally, I don't think so. It always goes back for me. Super simple. Before I play this clip by Bill Miller on Squawk Box, it always goes back to most people really don't know what Bitcoin is. Even a lot of Bitcoiners don't even know what it is. They just kind of buy and hold and they're like, cool. And I wouldn't even say that I know exactly what Bitcoin is. All I know is it's here. It's not going away. It is a new money, and you probably want to get some just in case it catches on. Classic Satoshi quote. Anyway, let's watch this clip, and we'll evaluate it together.
Bitcoin's higher today, but it has been a brutal run for the cryptocurrency. It's around 50% now off its all-time highs. For more on where it might head from here, we're joined now by Bill Miller IV. He's Miller Value Partners CIO and Chairman. Welcome back.
Thanks for having me, Scott.
Why is Bitcoin performing so poorly?
I think the main reason right now is the fact that Clarity Act, like it could be stalling on ethics concerns. But if you look at it over a much longer time horizon, the fundamental case for Bitcoin has never been stronger. So the CBO this year is projecting $1.9 trillion in a deficit. So let's look at that from a different angle. The marginal obligations being created that are unfunded by our country is 50% bigger than the entire market cap of Bitcoin. So you have to think, is this the best way of accounting for capital when we can just come up with new obligations year in and year out? The debt cycle gets worse and worse. I think there are better ways to account for capital that are based on consensus, energy, and transparency. So we're still very optimistic about the technology over the long term.
I know, but I didn't hear you say anything about the use case of it. I mean, what if there was never really a credible fundamental story to begin with?
Well, then it might not exist, right? So Bitcoin came into existence in the heels of the 2008-2009 financial crisis, when everyone saw all of the money printing coming down the pike, and that's what happened. So the fundamental use case is stronger, and you have to look at the underlying sets of dynamics out there around you when you make market calls, and so the fundamentals are still incredibly strong.
What if the biggest problem here is it's simple, and that there's just a lot of money going into other more durable, fast-growing areas of the market around the AI trade, and Bitcoin just can't compete with that?
Well, I think AI very, very long term is incredibly deflationary. And to make up for that, you're going to have to come up with a whole bunch more dollars to fill in for all the debts that are out there. So one of the ways out of the debt spiral is inflation. And Bitcoin is a hedge against that over the long term. So I think overall, that's a very good thing over the long term for Bitcoin.
The fundamentals have never been stronger. I actually love that we're in the big 2-6 here, 2026. And we have the talking heads on mainstream media and on the corporate press, in the paper of records, fighting Bitcoin because of, quote, my utility. It really reminds me of, just as I've been saying, we are living through eternal September. Like, we are living through this process where more people come in, more people don't understand, more noobs come in, and you just have to relive this like it's Groundhog Day. It's like, dude, okay. What in the last week, we've seen a couple of clips on that, literally harping on that same idea. Like, what is Bitcoin's utility? It's got no yield. You can't touch it. It's like, bro, what year are we living in? Is this 2017 again? Is this 2018 again? Like, you literally trade stocks that you never trade. That you never touch. Like, we all know what it means. Like, you have information in a cloud, and you're like, no one thinks of it in terms of like, oh, that's not real because I can't touch it. But we are seeing a fundamental distinction playing out right now. Those that are a part of the legacy financial system, whether they know it or not, are trying to maintain the status quo. Whether they have good intentions or not, they don't understand that the world has changed. Dude, the Carlos Matos, we no longer live in the world we once lived. It goes back to the fish don't know that they're swimming in water. You don't know that you're in air. Maybe air to a fish looks like, water looks to us. But that's the point, that all of these people that are been educated, that have been living in the traditional financial system, it's so hard to explain Bitcoin because, one, we've never seen anything like Bitcoin before, ever before. This is why a lot of the kind of parallels and examples that we use really fall short, even like the digital meme, what sailors say earlier, like digital Manhattan. The closest thing we can all get to is peer-to-peer cash. And even that kind of falls short of what it really is. And so everyone has this view, like everyone has these priors that they take with them, that they use as lenses to look through Bitcoin. And since it's so unfamiliar, since it's such alien technology, it's really hard for them to understand what Bitcoin is. It really goes back to, Bitcoin is an ego test. It's like you really have to unlearn everything you've ever learned before and try to understand Bitcoin. I wouldn't say in a vacuum, but as a new technology. And it's so interesting to me that like a lot of people just like, and this might sound harsh, but it really feels like a lot of people are just like not meant to understand Bitcoin. And that is begrudgingly something that I think I'm learning to accept. My boy Nolan, he always says what's he say? The drudge people will never understand Bitcoin, and that's okay. If 2020 taught us one lesson, it's that like we can't save everyone, and the drudge people like they're unsavable. And hey, look, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't force it to drink. It really feels like we are here. I mean, what is the value for Bitcoin for me personally? What is the utility of Bitcoin? One, of course, a store of value, everything divided by 21 million, something that cannot be debased. Two, something that I can control, that can't get shut off if I need to, travel, if I need to move, if I need to send it whenever and wherever I want to, I can. If it's a Friday night or a Sunday morning, I can use my money. Like, those are utility to me. Maybe it doesn't have a yield. Okay, cool. Like, whatever. Number's going to go up and my purchasing power increases. It actually reminds me, I had one of my friends down here a couple of weeks ago. And, he was in Miami. He was balling out. He spent too much money at dinner. Spent way too much money on drinks. And it was like Saturday morning, I think it was, or maybe it was Friday. No, it was Saturday morning. And he's on a Bitcoiner. And he was like, oh man, dude, I spent way more money than I thought I would in the last like 2-3 days. It's like, damn, I need to wire some money to myself. And he was like, all right, cool. Pushing through the wire. And he's like, damn, it's not going to come through till Monday. Like, what am I going to do until then? I'm like, I don't know. Maybe there is a peer-to-peer network that works 24/7, 365, and you don't need a bank to tell you can and can't use your money. I don't know, like novel idea. But you can see there is utility in this. It maybe doesn't have the characteristics that a traditional financial investor would look at, but there is a use case here, and it's just most people don't see it. With eyes to see and ears to hear. CNBC guy's the second worst next to Sorkin. Maybe equal worst. Oh, man, dude. Oh, yeah. Man, yeah, I don't know. I kind of like Andrew Sorkin, even though he's a Bitcoin hater. I kind of like him. But he is the worst, dude. Every time he talks about Bitcoin, it's like, it's so bad. You know, but maybe they're doing the Nico Opti thing on Squawk Box. You know, Joe Kernan's the perpetual bull and Andrew Sorkin is the, reigning fiat maxi bear. Dude, maybe it's all K-fob. Maybe it's K-fob all the way down. Maybe everything is fake. Maybe he's got a huge bag. He just wrote a book called 1929 about the Great Depression and how we are facing it. I don't know. Maybe you want a money that is outside the current financial system. I don't know. Just a thought here, Andrew. Anyways, let's do an update on the ETF outflows. Be right back.
I want to give a shout out to our partner, Ledin. Here's something most Bitcoin holders never figure out until it's too late. You're sitting on wealth you can't touch without selling. Ledin fixes that. Bitcoin-backed loans. You keep your stack, you get cash. And they just introduced their lowest rates ever. No complexity, no fine print. The larger the loan, the lower the rate. These new rates apply to all new loans, refinances, and renewals. You'll see all the rates up front before you apply. The new, lower rates come with Ledin's gold standard protection. Your Bitcoin remains custodied and is never lent out for interest. Perfect 8-year track record of keeping clients' assets safe. Auto top-ups, LTV alerts, and partial repayments to keep you in control. Repay whenever you want with zero penalties or monthly payments. Ledin's perfect $10 billion track record through every market cycle in the last 8 years speaks for itself. Don't choose between a great rate and the safety of your Bitcoin. Get both at Ledin. If you ever thought, what happens to my Bitcoin if something happens to me? Or what happens if I lose my phone? You're not alone. For a lot of people, the biggest barrier to self-custody isn't buying Bitcoin. It's the fear of making a mistake. And that's why I like Bitkey and I recommend it to my friends and family. Bitkey is a Bitcoin wallet built for real life, not just for day one, but for everything that happens in between. Lost devices, upgrades, accidents, and long-term ownership. There's no seed phrase to write down and worry about losing, and no single point of failure that can lock you out of your Bitcoin forever. What really stands out about Bitkey is the peace of mind. Recovery is built in, inheritance is built in. It's a complete self-custody system built by the team behind Square and Cash App, designed to make holding your own Bitcoin simpler and safer. Take self-custody of your Bitcoin today using Bitkey. Go to bitkey.world and use promo code SIMPLY for 10% off your new Bitkey. That's bitkey.world, promo code SIMPLY.
Hold on. I'm getting roasted in Rumble. All right. Okay. All right, Rumble chat. Jeez. Never a commie. All right. Okay. Sorry, I can't deal with humidity, dude. Look, fun fact. I have like no hair on my body. So the only way I can deal with humidity is sweating. All right. Sorry, dude. I wasn't built to live in a swamp. All right. That's That's not my DNA. All right. Dang. Okay. All right. All right. I'll never complain about the humidity again. Rumble chat. Sheesh. All right. Anyways. Yo. Okay. So wait. Let me pull this back up. Look, guys. I know it may not look like it, but maybe the real sacrifice and final capitulation is going to come from the ETF holder. Now, to be fair, the majority of Bitcoin that did get attracted to the ETF wrapper is basically still there. Okay. The majority of holdings, I would say, I think it's somewhere around, from the numbers I saw before this last week, it was maybe around like 3% of the ETF holdings were flowing out. Maybe I'd have to update these numbers right now. So maybe it's gotten up to like 5%. So even if it got up to 10%, we could still say the majority of Bitcoin that's been attracted to the ETFs are still holding. So, you know, net positive, I would say. And I know I get into the, like, it's not that hard to be just purely positive, but like net positive buying is what I'm saying with the ETFs. But the majority of Bitcoin in the ETFs are being held by the ETFs. They do have a long-term perspective, but maybe one of the final capitulation moments that we are looking for is going to be coming, and maybe potentially happening right now through the ETFs, because we've seen 10 consecutive outflows of ETFs. A lot of Bitcoin. I mean, in comparatively speaking, it's flowing out of the ETFs. Obviously, in terms of how much Bitcoin they currently hold, maybe it's only a single digit percentage, but we've seen tons of Bitcoin leaving. So massive outflows from Bitcoin ETFs. ETF allocators are running for the exit at the depth of the bear market. Dude, at the literal bottom, we are seeing, I think if I'm reading this correctly, what it says, $50.9 billion. No, 500. Would that be 50,908. There's no number here. But look, you can see IBIT. The last 10 days, we've seen what, 30 Bitcoin. Oh, maybe that's total Bitcoin. Okay, maybe this is total in Bitcoin terms. So we've seen almost 51,000 Bitcoin leave the ETFs. The ETFs hold like 1 million. So relatively speaking, not that big. Again, the majority of Bitcoin here. Let's do this live. Someone yelled at Nico for saying yesterday for doing the research live on the show. Hey, sometimes you ramble and you think of things on the fly and you got to pull them up. Okay. So ETF. All right. So ETFs currently hold, at least due to Bitcoin treasuries, 1.62 million Bitcoin. So the majority of the Bitcoin is still sitting in those ETF wrappers, but what Cena posted, it looks like 50,000. See, this doesn't make sense. This is what I don't see it. Look, he's got 60,000 Bitcoin leaving IBIT, but the total over here just says 50,000. Oh, okay. Not all the ETFs are selling Bitcoin. Some of them are buying Bitcoin. As you can see, some of this is positive. Okay, I get it now. So, point being, we've seen 51,000, close to 51,000 Bitcoin outflows in the ETF. So there is some selling pressure there, okay? 10 days of selling pressure, particularly from BlackRock. BlackRock, the biggest ETF holder, has sold. Here is Look On Chain. Recorded 10 consecutive trading days of net Bitcoin outflows, trading 35,900. See, these numbers are different, but billions of dollars coming out of the ETFs, in particular just from BlackRock. Now, on top of that, we have seen overall the numbers looking as if it's the worst ETF month in Bitcoin history. $4.29 billion of outflow in June. Now, it is the start of July, so things can change. Obviously, everything can change on a dime. If the price goes up, maybe these investors start to feel a little more comfortable. Maybe they stop selling to chase the gains in the AI or in IPOs because, hey, now we're getting some gains, so everyone feels a little better. But worst month ever? Dude, are the boomers finally capitulating? Did we need to sacrifice the boomers instead of sacrificing Saylor? I love the capitulation here. Now, it's not a full-blown capitulation, obviously, but Glassnote kind of puts this into context. Accumulation below the surface. Bitcoin has fallen below 60K as ETF outflows persist. Despite the weakness, long-term holders are absorbing supply, suggesting patient capital is returning. And it really does kind of go back to what Saylor was saying in the beginning in that hostile clip, where he's like, look, if you're not patient, if you don't have a long-term horizon, if you think you're just going to buy Bitcoin, get rich in 3 months, cash out, you're good to go, you're playing the wrong game. I mean, we all wish it was that way, right? But the long-term holders, the patient Bitcoiners, the real people that understand Bitcoin are accumulating as the newer ETF holders are starting to capitulate, guys. I don't know, man. Is this the sign? Yes, they are the retail everyone talks about. Yes. They're not investors when they dump on narratives. I would agree with that, but also everyone's an investor now. It is interesting, you know, because we still have the kind of the view, and I mean, maybe I'm just talking for myself, or maybe I'm just talking about what like a general normie would think. But I think the common view for most people is that investors are like, you know, Wolf of Wall Street and The Big Short. Like everyone, I think, has the view that like everyone that invests money in the stock market is like a Michael Burry. You know, they got all the charts. They got like 27 charts, and they're math wits and the whole like, this is my quant, you know, and he's like, I speak English, but he likes to say that I'm Chinese, with Ryan Gosling in what's it, Wolf? Was it? No, that's Big Short. I think we still have kind of this common view that all investors are like, you know, real smart. They really understand market dynamics. They're in it for the long run. You know, we have the view, especially in terms of social media. Like, I don't know if you guys are on Instagram and stuff, but if you go to social media right now, one of the hottest things right now is like all these young kids are like day traders, and they're like, man, look at my profits, look at my gains, you know, like, let me show you this wick and this doji, and let me draw this line, and look, if you buy my course, you're going to get stupid rich. And, you know, the dirty little secret is like they're only getting rich by selling the courses. They don't actually make money trading. Anyways, I say all that to say that everyone basically has become an investor. And a lot of people don't know what it really means. Like, I don't even like to look at myself as an investor in Bitcoin. I'm just like a Bitcoin buyer. I'm just like a Bitcoiner. But like, we're investors in Bitcoin. You know, it may not be a sexy way to view it, and you might have an ideological opposition to that framing. But like, it is what it is. You know, again, the entire world is a casino. Quote end by Donald Trump. Like, we have all turned into investors because our money's ass. And so the ETF, you know, holders, again, one of the misconceptions that I think a lot of people have is that the BlackRock ETF is just BlackRock buying Bitcoin. It's like, no, it's customers of BlackRock that are buying the ETF. And maybe the people that are giving BlackRock their money to manage, maybe they just got forced by their, you know, financial advisor, and they're like, oh, this is going to be a bag. Like, this is going to be a good bet. And here they are, you know, 2 years later, and it's like, it's back to 2021 prices. And they're like, yo, get me out of this thing. Like, what did you sell me? Obviously, long-term view, I could imagine the asset manager being like, no, hold it, bro. Like, just, you know, tough it, double down, you know, Max Payne scenario, fight through the pain. You know, grit your teeth. And he's like, yeah, cool story, but sell it. Like, I don't have time to wait this out. You know, he's like, I'm 70 plus years old. I don't have 10 years to wait this thing out. He's like, you told me it was going to pump in 2025 to 250K. Like, what are we doing here? So you can see some of the psychology aspects of this, but maybe the capitulation is coming from the ETF. I like to call them ETF retail holders. Institutional retail. It's not when we say institutional, again, it does bring the mental picture of like a Michael Burry or like, the Steve Carell character from The Big Short. It's like, oh no, these are like, super smart VC hedge funds that are buying into Bitcoin, and they're going to hold it long term, and they're going to financial engineer their way to get as much Bitcoin as possible. It's like, yeah, that is a portion of what we quote call institutional investors, but some of them are just average people that use BlackRock as a platform, or Charles Schwab or Morgan Stanley or JP Morgan. They probably don't know what they're holding. They're just like, press buy, go drink my beer, go smoke a cigar, go on my yacht. Who knows? We just, generalize here. Anyways, that was Kernan. Yeah. Kernan's a goat. Not investors gamble. Dude, the whole world's a casino. We are all gamblers, okay? We have all become gamblers. You see the guy on the financial show the other day that told the big name investors he has done his customer. Yeah, that was Joe Kernan with that Jeremy Gartham guy. Joe Kernan's a goat. No one ever talks about how every investment firm has predicted Bitcoin price of 100K when the last BlackRock advice. When was the last BlackRock advice that Bitcoin was going to be 70K? Dude, didn't BlackRock a year ago say it was going to, like, don't be surprised if it goes to 700K? We haven't heard that in a long time. Oh, man. All right. Anyways, enough rambling here. I brought it back. All right. I brought it back by popular demand. Maybe I can hold off the wolves for a little while longer, but it's Friday. It's, July 4th Eve here. We're feeling good. We made it through another week. We got a little pump. So what's little Opti do on the show? We bring back the meme review. Let's go. All right. I'll be right back.
I want to give a shout out to our partner, HIVE Digital Technologies. Fueled by clean energy across 3 continents, HIVE runs dual engines, Bitcoin mining and AI compute. Their AI platform is ranked #1 in the world for network performance, and it's doing something bigger than compute. It's accelerating human discovery, the science, the breakthroughs, pushing humanity further and faster. Listed on the NASDAQ with the ticker HIVE. Catch the latest buzz at HIVE Digital Tech on X or HIVEdigitaltech.com.
You secured your Bitcoin, but did you secure your devices too? They're still broadcasting your location and digital footprint. GPS, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, cell, 5G, EMF, all of it is leaking. Escape Zone fixes that. Their Faraday bags block every signal your device emits, so you decide when you're detectable, not the grid. Built for Bitcoiners who know sovereignty isn't just your wallet. It's your phone, your hardware wallet, your keys, and your entire digital life. Go to escapezone.com/simply and use code SIMPLY for 10% off. That's escapezone.com/simply, code SIMPLY. Hold on. Sorry, guys. I'm battling, what's it? Richard Koenig? Anyway, I was going to put this in the chat, but like, hey, bro, have you not heard my accent? I sound like a Valley girl. That's the biggest tell. That's the biggest tell possible. Okay. Anyways. Wait, do I have a good sound here? I want air horns or fog horns or something. I need something here. No, that's not it. Okay. Anyway. All right. Actually, we'll just do this. All right, guys, trigger warning. Okay, trigger warning. You may not like all these memes, but they made me laugh. Okay, I had a good time doing the meme review again. I actually saw some pretty good memes this week. So meme review back by popular demand. Everyone in the chat, press 5. If you know, you know. Okay, here we go. First meme is by Glocky or Cluckies at Cluckies_ on Twitter. And we have, this is from Rambo. I think it's Rambo. Pretty sure it's Rambo. We have the soldier here and he's like, just hold for 5 years. And behind him is Rambo blurred. And then Rambo comes into the picture and it's 58K. Yes, we have round tripped to the 2021 high. We are back to 58K. It's been brutal. It's been brutal. It's only brutal if you didn't stack all the way through it. Someone just said on Rumble, or maybe it was YouTube, I don't know. I'm not looking at the chat right now, but he said, look, if you don't have more Bitcoin or if you have more Bitcoin at the next all-time high, then you're doing it correctly, okay? So never stop stacking. Always be stacking. Always be consistent. Just keep stacking the coin. Yes, maybe we're back, at the last all-time high. But as long as you're acquiring more Bitcoin, as long as you have more Bitcoin today than you did in the past, you are doing it correctly. All right. Next one. Shouts out to my boy, Fiat Maximus, TR. He's been, dude, his Twitter account's been so funny recently. He's just been like pure bear posting. It's to me, it's the funniest thing I've seen in a long time. He's killing it, bro. Fiat Maximus, you've been killing it. I love your account right now. It's one of those that like, it gets you angry, but like there's always a good point to it. And you're like, damn, bro, like this is hilarious. Anyways, he's got a boomer Wojak here smoking a cigarette with his Corvette and his lawnmower and his house right on the bay with his yacht. And he's just chilling. And he goes, you sold your Bitcoin recently. Meanwhile, the boomer who bought it doesn't even know what the price of Bitcoin is today. God, it's one of those where you're like, bro, so true. So true. I've really been having the feeling lately that I want to be, again, Bitcoiner talks about the matrix, but it's not like what you think. Dude, right now I'm like, I just want to eat the steak. Can I take back the red pill? I just want to eat this. I just want to enjoy the steak, bro. Here I am in the shitty tunnel eating the freaking disgusting gruel. Got a hole in my head. I'm wearing nasty old clothes. I haven't showered in weeks. Man, I just want to eat the steak, bro. I just want to enjoy the steak, drink the wine, enjoy all-time high. Okay, all right. There's clearly a dodge by front clip opti. I don't know what that means. Oh, does this say dodge? Is there a dot? No, dude. It looks like a Corvette. Maybe it's a Mustang. It could be a Mustang. It could be a Mustang. All right. Anyways, keep him. All right. Trigger warning in the chat. Okay. Just because I bring a meme on the show doesn't necessarily mean I endorse it. It's just funny. Okay. Trigger warning before you guys make way to the exits. This one's actually kind of hilarious. Shout out to Shaquille Oatmeal. And it goes, what it looks like if BIP 110 goes through and you try to send a transaction. And it's Luke Dasher in a confessional. Sorry, guys. Look, this is not okay. Hold on. I'm not here making fun of anyone's religion. I am also a Christian. Okay. Maybe I'm not as hardcore as Luke is. Maybe my views are a little different. But you guys got to admit it. This one is kind of funny. Shouts out to Shaquille O'Neal, okay? Oh man, that one actually made me laugh. But to cover my own ass, shouts out to my boy Ben Justman, the wine guy. I don't develop Bitcoin. I just own it, okay? I'm standing up. I'm not a developer. I just own Bitcoin. I just buy Bitcoin. I hold it. I like to talk about Bitcoin. I want more of my friends and family to hold Bitcoin. I want you to hold more Bitcoin. I'm not a developer. I just own it. At one time, I thought I could, learn to code. It wasn't for me. Okay. I've told this story before a lot. My developer journey started and ended with Hello World. Okay. I'm not a developer. I never claimed to be a developer. I just own Bitcoin. Okay. I'm covering my own ass. Shout out to Ben. I love Ben. Ben's a good dude. Anyways, this one, I got to plug us. Hey, what's the point of having your own meme review if you can't add your own memes? Nepotism. I'm a meme nepotist. All right. I'm transparent about it. The mission of Bitcoin is the separation of money and state, and it's a picture of that couple that went up the Empire State Building, and I forget what their flag said, but this one is the Bitcoin logo. I think their flag was like when the love. Wait, what was it like? When the love, it's like when the love of money, whatever. I forget what it is, but I do have to say it was pretty badass. All right. Can we just do a little tangent here on that couple that climbed up the Empire State Building and the dude proposed to his baddie on the top of the Empire State Building, bro? Honestly, they say romance is dead. I don't know about you guys, but that was pretty damn romantic. Kind of badass. Maybe I have a feeling they probably lean a little more left. You know, it's not endorsing that, but it was pretty crazy. It was a pretty good spectacle. You know, actually, double side tangent. You know what I was thinking when I saw that? It like felt like a movie. Do you know what I mean? You know when there's like that one scene in the movie that's like it's happening when things are like climaxing, and it's like that general, it's kind of like a cheesy statement, you know, it usually it falls flat. But like I was watching this, the helicopter view, and I was like, dude, this is like, it's almost like I was having deja vu. Like I was like, whoa, like we're living in a movie. It just like felt like one of those movie scenes. You know what I mean? It was just like one of those like, whoa, like what the hell? Like we have not seen anything like this, I think, in a while. And it just like, I was watching, I'm like, dude, this is like the power of love over the love of power. Is that what it was? Yeah. When the love of power overcomes the whatever. Do I have to find it? I forget what it was. Is it this one? Wait, no, it wasn't this one, but this one's good. All right. I thought it was this. I've never been more bullish in my life. But dude, it felt like I was watching Batman. Maybe it's because she had like the Batman ears and they were in all black. But anyways, also, you would never in a million years catch me on top of that. I was like afraid watching it. I'm like, oh my God, dude, how do you even think of doing that? Like, you guys are lunatics. Anyways, Godzilla, yeah. Dude, it was the money shot. Was it not? Are we not living the money shot right now? Actually, I kind of like this one better. Dude, shouts out to Bitcoin Moses. I've never been more bullish in my life. Bro, it was the money shot. Like, did you guys feel that, or is that just me? King Kong. Wait, was it Godzilla or King Kong? Dude, it just felt like okay, sorry, Ron. Sorry, I forget. It's when the power of love overcomes the love of power of the world. Wait. When the power of love overcomes the love of power, the world will know peace. Thank you, Ron, for the clarification. I mean, look, it is a little cliche, okay? Forgive me. You know, I may have thought that this was like the most goated thing when I was like 18. At this point, you're gonna climb up there. Like, I don't know what my statement would be. So, like, you know, I'm not judging the statement. I would have probably said something cliche as well, but I'm just saying. Okay, I'm just saying. I feel that was also the surest proposal ever. Hey, yo, you got to play your odds. You got to play your odds, bro. Yeah. Well, also, you better be sure when you're proposing to your wife, you know, like, dude, no one wants to be humiliated, especially up there, you know? Especially when you climb up and you're going to jail for it, dude. Imagine if she said no. Just imagine. I don't mean to laugh. I'm being insensitive, but hey, it's Friday. It's a meme review. It's jokes. But just imagine that they climb up together. He proposes. It's on. It's on the news. And she says no, and then you got to climb down together and you go to jail for it. Bro, brutal. Okay. Anyways, like she says no and base jumps away, dude. Oh man. Dude, Ron, I love Jimi Hendrix. Okay. I'm a Jimi Hendrix fan. Dude, don't boomer out on me, bro. Don't Gen X out on me, bro. Come on. I'm just saying, like, how many times have you heard that quote for like, I don't know, the most just like mundane protest? All right, whatever. Hey, Ron, I love you. We don't have to agree on everything. I love Jimi Hendrix, okay? I think I literally had that poster on my wall when I was like 18. It's like the psychedelic Jimi Hendrix, and I'm pretty sure it literally said that quote on it. So I hung that poster in my house, you know, when I was 18. I'm just saying, I don't know what I would put, but like, maybe it could have been a better message. I don't know. Anyways, next one. All right, this one actually might be my favorite one. Okay, this one might actually be my favorite meme of this whole thing. Beeple goes extractor in chief, and we have Trump sitting there pressing a max extract button with with Sam Bankman-Fried on his t-shirt that says Summer of Sam, and then we have Don Jr. behind him trading, dumping the Trump coin, Melania coin, and in the background is Barron Trump just hitting the bong. Oh man, dude, this one goated. Beeple killed this one, obviously alluding to the fact that the extractor in chief rug pulled $1.1 billion in his crypto scam. Actually, you guys want to hear a crazy metric? I didn't have the numbers, but from what I heard, for every dollar that Donald Trump made from the rug pulls, his supporters or holders of the meme coins lost $17. So for that $1.1 billion, something like $17 billion was fleeced from the MAGA cohorts. Like, bro, we're never living this one down. It's brutal. Absolutely brutal. Max extractor in chief. This one was goated. And for everyone here, you know, you can never get away from the classics. This one's, I think, a little new, but it might just be a classic. It might be a rehash. But shouts out to Rich RDTCD. Been fun. I'll see you next all-time high. And it's the Jack Sparrow meme where his ship sinks, but he ends up on the dock. And the ship sinking is Bitcoin, and he's stepping onto Bitcoin. We may be at the bear market bottom, but we will see you at the next all-time high. You know, Bitcoin is dead. Long live Bitcoin. We shall make it out of the doldrums, and we will get to a new all-time high here soon. Okay. I don't know, but from what I saw, the numbers that I saw, it was about, I think, and I might be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure it was about 800,000 what do you call it? Unique addresses. So not necessarily saying 800,000 people bought the coin, but the numbers I saw, I think it was like Wall Street Journal or something that was reporting on it. And it said 800, like the $1.1 billion extraction, or maybe it was the 635 million crypto rug pull gains. 222 of them were in profit. The other $800,000, that's where all the money was fleeced from. So it was literally like Trump and his friends, they made all the money, and every other person lost out. I believe I should have brought the numbers for this, but off the top of my head, I'm pretty sure it was 220 wallets profited for over $1 billion. And the other 800,000 unique addresses were all in the negative. So I don't know how many people it was, but, you know, in the hundreds of thousands of people, I would argue. Maybe more. Bitcoin hodl. Hey, who knew the Trump coin was going to be a rug pull? Am I right? Oh, man. Okay, guys. Well, hey, look. All right. Okay. All right, guys. You know, good news. Good news. Drop a 5 in the chat. Drop a 5 in the chat. We kept the majority of viewers through the meme review. So it's not dead. Okay, guys. Meme review will be revived. How about we do I don't know. Let's do one a month. Can we, is that okay? You know, before I go, one a month. Can we live with that? One a month, you know? I think I can live with that. Because I do like to ramble about certain things. So one a month, I'll commit to one meme review a month. How about this? We'll do 2 this month since, you know, I'll do one towards the end of the month. But one a month meme review. That's what we'll do. Spreading mainstream bulletin about Trump. Dude, that's just the numbers, bro. The numbers don't lie. They can spin it however they want. But that, dude, the financial disclosure, it says it, dude, it says it in the accounting. Anyways. I do want to say happy 4th for every one of you Bitcoiners that are in America. If you are not in the US, I would still say celebrate 4th of July. Celebrate what it stands for. You know? I think Bitcoin exports American ideals to the rest of the world. And not the bad parts, not the fiat maxi parts, but liberty, life, and the pursuit of happiness, or rather, you know, private property. But we will be celebrating over here. I think we're going to have a cool kind of family-style barbecue for 4th of July. We'll be watching the fireworks. So happy 4th of July to every single one of you, whether you're an American or not, whether you hate America or not. But how could you hate it? Actually, last point, dude, the World Cup, if you guys been watching this, the Europeans love America. Who doesn't love America? Okay? We are not American hating Americans. We love America. All right. So happy 4th of July to you guys out there. I hope you guys hang out with your friends and family. We will be celebrating with my extended family down here in Miami. But happy 4th, man. The big 250th birthday of America. Let's see how much more it goes. Dude. Should we do the whole, like, you know, empire fiat money doesn't last much longer than 250? No. We are not hating. Dude, maybe the American Republic is over, but the American empire shall live on. Yo, we are the new Rome, all right? A republic will die, but the empire will go on for 1,000 years. The fiat money might die. The dollar might coexist with Bitcoin, but Bitcoin will come out of this like a phoenix. And we shall see an empire for another 1,000 years. Oh, man. All right. Anyways, happy 4th of July. I'm kind of trolling, I'm kind of joking, but some truth in it. Okay. Anyways, man, have a good one. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. I hope you guys had a good week. As always, it's the weekend. Well, you know, I was going to say same thing I always do. Like, make sure you get a good workout in, call your loved ones, you know, eat good, get out and get some sun, some exercise, but most importantly, stack some Bitcoin and take it off the exchange. But, you know, I'm kind of going to throw that out the window. You know, eat some hot dogs and hamburgers and ribs and get an extra order of mac and cheese and whatever you eat on 4th of July and enjoy a beer. You know, you deserve it. We made it another year. Live a little, okay? That is my sign off for today. We're going to live a little this weekend, okay? We're going to celebrate. It's a celebration. That is my advice for this week. All right. Anyways, guys, I love you. I will see you on Monday. Have a good weekend. I hope you guys truly enjoy yourself this weekend. Happy 4th of July. I'll see you on Monday.
Today's episode was brought to you by BitcoinWell.com, a Bitcoin-only platform on a mission to enable financial independence.